Something comes up, you have an automated response that tells you a new story, the old story fades, and that ultimately gives you strength. It gives you strength to befriend your fear as opposed to overcoming it, facing it, challenging it, crushing it, all these words that we've developed thinking that fear is a negative. Fear is there to help us. It's there to guide us, but we have to trust it like we trust our intuition.
You're listening to the Art of Resilience Show, a podcast that inspires those seeking to uncover their own resilience. I'm your host, Hussein Al-Baiaty, once a refugee, now artist, author, and entrepreneur. Join me in my mobile studio as we sit down with some of the most diverse, knowledgeable, and resilient guests to discuss their state of mind.
Yo, what's going on, my people? I hope you're well. Welcome back to another episode of Art of Resilience. Today in this video, I'm going to be talking about the 3 things that help me overcome and befriend my fears. Number 1 is definitely awareness. So when a fear comes up, for me, for example, when I was writing my book, I had tons of fears. Like, what will my friends think of me? How will they judge me? What will my family members think of me? What will my wife think of? It was always around what will others think of me? And that comes from a deeper rooted feeling and fear of when I was growing up in America and really wanting to fit in with my friends, the tribes, the community, the teachers, the classrooms, wherever I was. I wanted to fit in and feel accepted. And that builds fears because then you're kind of changing your behaviors, becoming not who you really are to fit in this mold. And, fortunately for me over the years, I've slowly broken out of that, and not to think less of that, but, it's still there in a weird way. And so when I sit down and do projects and creative projects, especially, I always have this lingering feeling of what will people think of this? And that's a big one. Judgment of others is hard. And so instead of thinking about it negatively, though, what if you told yourself a new story? If you figure out exactly what that fear is for you, and it doesn't have to be judgment of others, right? It could be self-doubt. Well, where does self-doubt come from? Sitting down with yourself and talking to yourself to tell you the story of when that self-doubt came from, then you narrow down that one specific story. And now you can be the judge of if that story should rule what you're about to do next. If that story should determine who you can help or who you don't help. Let's say, for example, 10 people made fun of me for making this video. Great, that's fine. But I know it might help 100 people out there. So I'd rather help the 100 and not think about the 10. Because let's be real. In everything we do, there are people who are not going to support what we're doing. But there's probably going to be more people who will support what we're doing. And that's the positive flip. So can you take your story of fear? Because your fear, whatever it may be, comes with a story. Ask yourself, what is that story? Can I tell myself a new positive outlook on that story? When you have that new positive outlook, I highly suggest you write that new story down. When you write that new story, post it on your bathroom mirror, post it next to you on your desk, put it somewhere where you can see it and read through it. So when you go about doing your day, doing that creative work, that project, you read that positive story and it flips that fear, and that fear starts to diminish little bit by little bit. So what that does essentially is you have a response. So when something comes up, you have an automated response that tells you a new story, the old story fades, and that ultimately gives you strength. It gives you strength to befriend your fear as opposed to overcoming it, facing it, challenging it, crushing it, all these words that we've developed thinking that fear is a negative. Fear is there to help us. It's there to guide us. But we have to trust it like we trust our intuition. It's just trying to tell us something. And sometimes there's a miscommunication between that fear and our translation of it. So we have to get down to what that story is and tell ourselves a new narrative. And when that new narrative appears, then that fear starts to dissolve. And that's what you start to believe is the positive aspect, the flip of that fear, which gives you strength. And that's what we need in resilience. You see, facing the things that we want to do and the challenges and things that we think about sometimes are only held back by those old stories we've told ourselves. I think it's time to tell yourself a new story about that specific fear that you feel holds you back. Sit down with it. Tell yourself a new story. Create a better response and go do that thing that you've been wanting to do. This gives you strength. Strength is crucial in resilience. This video has been helpful for you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and if you need help crafting a new story around a fear that you may have, please go ahead and comment it. I'd love to do my best and jump in to help you out. Again, my name is Hussein Al-Baiaty. This is Art of Resilience. Please go ahead and share it with a friend or family member who may need to hear it for 2022. You take care of yourself. I'm your boy. Peace.